Coaches, we're going to go through a youth practice here. Now, any one of our youth practices are very similar to any practice that I run. That includes any of our college practices. For us at our youth practices, there's going to be a few non-negotiables that we're going to try to hit every single day because these are things that I think constantly show up in games, and I think that overall it's best for their development. And as I tell my youth teams, I want to win games. I don't care who you are. You want to win games. But my overall goal is to help develop each player so that they are successful in any program or team that they play for. The first thing that we prioritize in any practice I run is going to be shooting. And in my opinion, shooting is still the ultimate skill in basketball. As a team, you have to be able to shoot the ball. The way we train this is going to be through some sort of variability. We're constantly challenging our players with different footwork, a lot of heavy contests, shots while they're tired, and shots where players have to make an extra decision. Every rep is going to look a little bit different, and that's going to be completely on purpose. The variability forces players to adapt. Instead of repeating the same movement, we want them to learn how to organize their body, get on balance, and get comfortable with all of the variability that's going to happen within the game. We call this DL shooting. It's just a different approach that has players solve shooting problems, not just repeat or rehearse the same shot over and over and over again. The second piece that we're going to hit is always going to be closeout work. This can range anywhere from 1-on-1 all the way up to 4-on-4 in a ton of different situations. Because closeouts are one of the most common defensive actions in the game. And I believe it's one of the hardest defensive actions for players to have to deal with. We want players to learn how to close out under control, but then they have to be able to defend a live player. As we add more players, now they have to communicate, they have to help, they got to recover, all skills that are going to be needed once we get into our full live 5-on-5 setting. Third thing that we're going to hit is offensive defensive transition. A lot of games are won and lost here. I don't care what level you're at. We want our players to be able to match up, communicate early, and sprint the floor. We also want them to be able to make quick decisions on both sides of the floor. Transition offense and defense is chaotic by nature, so we try to practice it in a way that reflects that chaos. Again, we just want players to feel comfortable in those situations, and the more we can put them in those situations, the more they're going to be comfortable when the game time comes around. The fourth piece is small-sided games. We are constantly playing 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4. Actually, very rarely do we play 5-on-5. This usually includes some type of advantage or disadvantage situation. These that create a ton more touches, more decisions, and more opportunities for players to be able to figure it out. Within the small-sided games, I believe the game becomes the teacher. I get to step back. Players can learn spacing, timing, and how to play off of different teammates without us having to overcoach or coach every single rep. We also include multiple forms of live one-on-one, especially when we're dealing with finishing. Players need reps attacking real defenders, handling contact, and learning how to score in traffic. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what offense you run. You have to have players who can simply just go out and make a play for you. And in my opinion, one-on-one is a great way to develop this. Now, I want to be super clear with this. We put a ton of parameters on our one-on-one stuff. We add dribble limits, we change locations on the floor, and we make them score out a lot of different options. There's a ton of things you can do to make one-on-one replicate a more of a 5-on-5 setting. Once these core areas are in place, we're going to layer in specific team needs that we need for that week. Things like, do we need to run through our sets? Do we need to work on our press break? Do we need to clean up our defensive rotations? But these foundational pieces hit every single practice, every single time. I know there's a coach out there right now that's screaming through the screen saying, where is the rebounding? And I want to let you know that no matter what drill we are in, we are going to emphasize rebounding. I'm not a huge fan of rebounding drills unless your team needs to be more physical and they need to learn a lot more toughness. I'm also not opposed to doing them. We do them as well. It's just not a staple every single day. But if it's live, we're going to track the rebounding, we're going to talk about it, and we are going to absolutely hold players accountable on the rebounding end of the ball. Coaches, at the end of the day, we are trying to put our biggest focus on putting players into situations that they're actually going to see in games and letting them play through those situations to get more comfortable. We want players who can just simply read the game, adapt, and make a ton of decisions under pressure. All right, coaches, I'm going to go through a few of my practices that I've ran, all my youth practices in the past few months, just to give you some ideas of some of the things that we've been talking about. So take anything you want, but hopefully it's just going to give you some fresh ideas and things that you can add into your practices to continue to develop those adaptable players and players that are going to show up on game day. Coach, we're going to get right into it. We always start with some type of fun warm-up to get the girls just engaged and moving their bodies around. This is just shoulder tag. Again, I'm just trying to get as many shoulder touches as possible. Just a fun drill, not really doing anything here. Next one is back-to-back on one leg. They're just trying to push each other out of the way. This always gets them engaged. They're always laughing. Good way to start practice for us. Next is a 3-on-3 passing drill. You have to stay inside the paint and get 6 passes in a row. We always struggle with this one. This one usually takes us quite a while to get to, but that's a good indicator for me that we probably need to continue to work on it. We don't handle pressure very well, so something we work on quite a bit, moving without the ball and handling pressure. Next is going to be a one-on-one full court drill. We do this one almost every single practice too. Rules for me with one-on-one full court is if you beat them, you have to pull the ball back. This just makes the defense pressure like crazy. This is our DL shooting that we talked about in the first part of the video. So these are just contested shooting, right? We're just doing 180-degree flips. Next, we're going to go into a decision off the flip. So I want players to say if they have the shot, they can shoot it. If not, they're going to kick to the open player and be able to shoot the ball as quick as possible. This is kind of how we spend our shooting time. Here's some of our one-on-one work that we do, just some contested finishes right here. Big proponent for guards being able to post up. Not necessarily that they're going to do it a ton in the game, but I think it just develops a lot of touch around the rim, and it develops really good footwork around the rim that also transfers to the wing. We run a flex offense sometimes, so we work on this. Again, just working on coming off that screen into a one-on-one setting. I just like it because it just challenges players to do different things. Long closeout work here. Ball gets kicked across, got to stay in front, something we need to work on a lot better in our team. Here's a 2-on-2 small-sided game that I love. We're just working on basically a shell drill, jumping gap to gap. As soon as the second whistle hits, we're going to be live 2-on-2. Big also proponent for these of doing shell drill. I'm fine with the scripted part, but then turning it into a live setting. Here is another small-sided game, just 2-on-2 ball screen. So, again, just trying to get our players as many touches and as many live settings. This is a 3-on-2 ball screen, so now we're working on an advantage. Defense has to scramble out of it. We should be able to get a good-looking shot out of every single rep out of these. Here's a 4-on-4 scramble drill. I'm a big fan of doing a lot of advantage and disadvantage drills, so we have to be able to scramble back and try to get to neutral as quick as possible. Here's just another look out of it. Again, you can just see how the options are different every single time, and that's what I'm a huge fan of because it replicates the game. We try not to run a lot of set plays. We actually don't even have that many, but we do run a lot of triggers and actions that we want our players to get really good playing out of. We have an early offense, so we either go pistol action, which is just a dribble handoff to a ball screen on the wing to get our offense going, or we'll throw it to the wing and set a ball screen. Again, these aren't anything special out of this. It's just to get our offense moving. And again, when we watch this back, there's so many good teaching moments, and this is why I love playing live out of here. We're not getting out of the middle. We're not spacing great, but again, as coaches, this is just where we get to teach the game of basketball. And then our transition work today was just basically a scrimmage, but the emphasis was on off of a make or a miss. We got to push the ball as hard as we can. And then on the opposite side, we got to get back as fast as we can. On that piece too, coach, scrimmaging right here, like she turns the ball over right here. I'm not that worried about it, right? We just kind of talked about it. We got to get back on defense and be able to play. So that's why I love being able to play live. They got to get over stuff a lot quicker. So that's just an inside look at how we practice.